What is going on, everyone? Tenha here, and today in this video we're going to talk about Kafka. In order for us to talk about Kafka, you need to know how DOT works because she is a DOT DPS. DOT means damage over time, and it does not crit. It scales off of attack, damage bonus, and the enemy's defense. With all this being said, we can now go ahead and see how her kit works, what kind of relics we need to use, what Lightcone is good for her, whether if she is F2P friendly or not. Thorns increases the base chance by 30% for target enemies to get shocked by the ultimate, the technique, or the talent-triggered follow-up attack. Torture. When the ultimate is used, enemy targets will now receive damage immediately from all currently applied dot sources instead of just receiving damage immediately from the current applied shocked state. Plunder. If an enemy is defeated while shocked, Kafka additionally regenerates 5 energy. This ability allows Kafka to get additional energies in order for use to use ultimate more often. Ultimate deals lightning damage to all the enemies with a 100% base chance for enemies hit to become shocked and immediately take damage from their current shock state, equal to 90% of its original damage. Shock lasts for 2 turns. While shocked, enemies receive lightning dot at the beginning of each turn. Her skills deals lightning damage to a target enemy and lightning damage to enemies adjacent to it. If the target enemy is currently receiving dot, all dots currently placed on the enemy immediately produces damage. So the ultimate and skill is what you want to prioritize when you're leveling her traces. Talent. After an ally uses basic attack on the enemy target, Kafka immediately launches one follow-up attack and deals lightning damage to that target with a 100% base chance to inflict shock equivalent to that applied by her ultimate to the attacked enemy target for 2 turns. And her basic attack is just basic attack. Technique. Immediately attacks all enemies with a set range. After entering the battle, deals lightning damage equal to 50% of Kafka's attack to all enemies with a 100% base chance to inflict shock equivalent to that applied by her ultimate on every enemy target for 2 turns. And she gets 18% effect hit rate from her nodes, 28% attack, and 10% max HP. And let's talk about her Lightcone. Her best install Lightcone is really great because it increases damage by 24%. You get speed increase by 4.8%, stacking up to 3 times every time you attack. And if Kafka hits an enemy target that is not afflicted by Erode, there is a 100% base chance to inflict Erode to the target. Enemies afflicted with Erode are also considered to be shocked and receive lightning dot at the start of each turn equal to 60% of Kafka's attack, lasting for 1 turn. And at max level, that damage increase becomes 40% and the speed increases by 8%, stacking up to 3 times. And the lightning DOTs from Erode becomes 100%. And let's talk about her F2P Lightcone. You can use Good Night and Sleep Well. At S1, you do up to 36% damage bonus, and this effect also applies to Dot. This is going to be a very good Lightcone, but also at the same time, compared to the signature Lightcone, it kind of limits you from making a team. For the F2Ps, when you're using this 4-star Lightcone, it limits you from making Hypercarry Kafka team, 1 DPS character, 2 support characters, and 1 healer. You can also use Asta or Silver Wolf depending on the situation, but Asta and Tingyun are very good support characters to help Kafka do more damage. Tingyun would increase the attack of the Kafka and help her do more damage with her ultimate, and there is Asta who also applies DOT from her normal attack, which would also help Kafka trigger her talents to do follow-up attack. Asta will give you attack bonus, and her ultimate also gives you speed bonus, which means that you can use Asta instead of Tingyun, or mix match with Tingyun, Asta, Silver Wolf, or if you don't have Silver Wolf, you could be using Pella in this case. However, that is not going to be the case for most of the people who plays this game as F2P or small spender, because you would definitely need her signature Lightcone in order for you to apply more DOTs. So when Kafka uses her skill or ultimate, she does extra damage. And a really good thing about Kafka is that when she uses her skill or ultimate to trigger dot affected on the enemy right away, it doesn't actually use up their duration. That also suggests us to do certain things. We can build her with attack boots. However, she will benefit a lot more when she's using speed boots, especially when you're using Kafka with different dot characters. Yes, you can probably use attack boots and have like Bronya in it, but that is not recommended. And let's talk about her relic set. Her best relic set is going to be the Thunder set. She's going to be using skills all the time, which means that this set is going to be the best for her. Another set you can probably use is going to be Quantum set. You can ignore the 2-piece set, but when you're using 4-piece set, you're ignoring 10% defense. If the enemy is weak to Quantum, and then you additionally ignores 10% defense, so total of 20% is going to be pretty huge. Other sets like Musketeer will also work, but you're not getting so much benefit from basic attack increase, so keep that in mind. And I know that farming for a relic set is pretty hard. However, she's basically like a safety net for farming relics. while you're farming for relic sets, you would probably end up getting those sets. You might think it's not going to be beneficial for your other characters, but Kafka or dot characters can use sets that Locha use as well. For the main stats, you want to go for attack body, speed boots, lightning damage boost, and then attack ropes, or ERR if you wish. However, with her talents, where she can do follow-up attacks if the ally uses basic attack, I would say you're gonna get more benefit from using attack. So the substats that you want to focus on is going to be attack, speed, and effect hit rate. For the 2-piece set, you want to use Space Sealing Station because you can get up to 24% attack if you're using speed boots. She doesn't need anything related to crit rate or crit damage, and because she also gets a lot of effect hit rate, I would say you can also use Galactic Set, but you want to go with something that is easier to understand, more efficient to farm for. So Galactic Set is not so recommended, but if you do have lightning damage bonus and attack ropes, then you can use them. And yes, you want to min-max your relics later on. We're still in the early stage of game, so if you don't really care about how much damage you do with your characters, as long as you have the right main stats and substats here and there, you should be able to clear Memory of Chaos with no problem. So I would have to say that Kafka is a very F2P friendly character. Everyone has different situations, but most of the time, having an extra net to make your idol relics to be useful, I think that is a great thing to your account. Just kind of like how in Genshin Impact we have Geo characters that can use defense and HP pieces. Before we go on and talk about Eidolons, I would like to say that if you're by any chance thinking about spending extra money or resource on any characters, just know that they look really good by the numbers, but they're not as great as what you think. However, let's go ahead and take a look at it. E1. When the talent triggers follow-up attack, there's a 100% base chance to increase the dot received by the target by 30% for 2 turns. This should work as a debuff. Doing extra 30% dot damage is not going to be that great, but rating from a whale's perspective, I would say this is pretty good. E2. While Kafka is on the field, dot dealt by all allies increases by 25%. This is also good. E4. When an enemy takes damage from shock status inflicted by Kafka, Kafka additionally regenerates 2 energy. This would also help you use your ultimate more often, so I would say E4 is probably the best one. E6. The shock inflicted on the enemy target by the ultimate, the technique, or the talent triggered follow-up attack has a damage multiplier increase of 156% and lasts for 1 turn longer. Pretty much you don't need this kind of damage, but it does really look good. And then people be like, oh my god, that looks so broken. But overall, you don't need this kind of damage. And yes, if you do have more Eidolons on her, you would be getting that satisfaction of being able to use any kind of team comp for Kafka. You could probably even use Bronya Kafka kind of team, where you can just use attack boots. It just gives you more flexibility when it comes to builds. And some of you guys might wonder, hey, should I go for E1 or the Lightcone? I suggest the Lightcone is going to help you do more damage, but also give you a little flexibility on coming up with a team. Like I said before, without her signature Lightcone, you would be limited on how to build your team. So let's take me as an example. Even as a whale who max refreshes Trailblaze power every day, it still takes me a couple of days for me to work on a new character. I would have to work on the trace nodes, I would have to work on their trace levels, their light cones. It would probably cost me about 2 or 3 days to build one character. If you don't have dot characters ready, then you might consider going for the light cone, use all those support characters that you have, kind of have fun with Kafka, and if you do want to try out different team comps, then you can slowly work on your dot characters. However, if you're F2P and small spender, bringing Kafka to your roster could cause you some problem, because you're gonna have to work on Luca, Sampo, or both of them. In the next video, we're gonna talk about which dot character is going to be best for Kafka. Spoiler alert, Luca is going to be very good to have in the team because his dot depends on enemies' max HP, limited by Luca's attack. I hope all the people who's watching this video has already gotten their favorite character, Kafka. It's really hard for you to not pull for Kafka, because when we start the game, we start with Kafka, and she is literally like our mother, right? Because she is the one who resurrected us. That's how the game started. And let me know in the comment section what you think about her, and I will see you in the next video. Adios.